Hi everybody, Dan Illman here, taking a look at race number 10, Del Mar on Saturday. It's the Grade 1 Bing Crosby for some of the best sprinters in the country. Let's take a look at this field, and it's nice to see a big field in the Bing. $400,000 is the purse. We're going 3/4 of a mile. You've got the Chosen Vron, not only the best California bred in training right now, but one of the best sprinters out and out. He won this race last year. He's won 13 of his last 14 starts, and he looks like the horse to beat, although there are several very talented runners in here, and not only are they talented, but they're fast. Cue up the Timeform US pace projector and the 3 Straight No Chaser, a horse that looked like he was on his way to being a star in the division last year before he suffered an injury and had to go to the sidelines for a long time. He's only had one race this year, but it looks like he still has that potent early gas, and he's likely to go to the front in here. Let's start things off with the number 1 Anarchist, who just missed to the Chosen Vron in last year's Bing Crosby, and he's only had one race this year, and I think it's a little bit better than it looks. The Kelly's Landing at Churchill Downs last time out, where he battled for the early lead through some very hot fractions and then understandably tired, considering it was his first race off of a lengthy layoff. Anarchist, I think, is better when he is taken off of the pace, sit in stalking position, and try to make one good run at the pace setters. Let someone else do the dirty work, and I think those are the tactics that Kazushi Kimura is going to use in the Bing Crosby. Anarchist certainly has a race or two good enough to win this year's edition of the Bing Crosby, and with that last race under his belt, his fitness level should be near its peak. The number 2 is See Through It. He is stepping up in class, but he's stepping up sharp off 2 recent victories, both in starter allowance company. Let's watch the races at Los Alamitos on July the 7th, where he just got a very good trip. He sat off of a moderate pace, and he puts the boots to the field in the stretch. It's visually impressive. He earned a solid 90 Beyer speed figure, but now not only is he stepping way up in class against some of the better sprinters, not only in Southern California, but in the country, but the pace is likely to be way more dynamic than it was in his most recent start. It's unlikely that See Through It's going to get as close to the pace as he did in his last 2 races. Straight No Chaser earned big Beyer speed figures last year, including a 107 when dominating them in the Maryland Sprint on Preakness weekend. It looked like he was going to be one of the better sprinters in the country. Unfortunately, he went to the sidelines. He missed a lot of time. He returned to New York last time out in the Grade 3 Run Happy Stakes. I know the connections were not pleased to draw the rail that day, and he bobbled badly leaving the gate, then rushed up to set an opening quarter mile in a swift 22 seconds flat. The layoff, the bobbling at the start, the rushing up into a pace battle, and the fact that he faced some pretty good horses. The runner-up has since placed in a couple of Grade 2 stakes races in New York with Beyers of 90 and 94. It all took its toll on Straight No Chaser. I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt. He has been freshened since that race for about 3.5 months or so. He's likely going to show good speed, and if we see the Straight No Chaser from last year, the Maryland Sprint Straight No Chaser and the win at Oaklawn 3 starts back, he's going to be a handful, even though he might have to work for the lead. Giant Game is an intriguing runner. He was 3rd in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile at Del Mar back in 2021, a graded stakes winner last year going 2 turns. He's going to cut all the way back to a sprint in his first start for New Connections. He was purchased for $160,000 at a Horses of Racing Age sale back in June. 5th last time out at Churchill Downs. It was a 2-turn race where he just sort of sat mid-pack, made a little bit of a bid. The race did produce a couple of next out winners. The 3rd finisher coming back to take an allowance with a 98 Beyer speed figure. My concern with Giant Game is that he might be outrun in the early stages, cutting so far back in distance that he might have too much to do in the stretch. He's really looking for a fast pace, and I wonder if this is sort of a building block. First time for trainer Peter Urton. The 6 is Close the Game Sugar, and this is a horse shipping out west from Churchill Downs. He won his last 2 starts, and he took down a pretty big scalp in the Aristides 2 back. That was Skelly, arguably the best sprinter in the country, and Close the Game Sugar just ran right by him in the final 16th of a mile, and he proved that race was no fluke when winning the Kelly's Landing in his subsequent start. A race where he stayed up close to a fast pace, burst to the front turning into the stretch, and had plenty to hold off the closers. This lightly raced 4-year-old still might have some upside potential, appears to be reaching peak form as it is, and he might have the ability to sit a good stalking trip from just in behind the leaders. He looks like a strong on Contender. Happy Jack is up next. All he's done in his last 2 starts, pop triple-digit Beyer speed figures, including this win in the Triple Bend going 7/8 of a mile. Now, it's a short field. He only beats 3 other rivals, and he got away with a very easy opening quarter. When a horse like Happy Jack runs his first quarter in 23-1, that's glacial. For top sprinters, he gradually speeded it up on the backstretch and into the turn, and he was too good for this field. Dr. Venkman, the runner-up, we'll see him in the San Diego earlier in the day, was returning off of a lengthy layoff. Happy Jack did have the best of it in this race from a pace standpoint. Likely going to have to go faster early, but when you look back on his card, he's a horse that's versatile and pace adaptable. I think he can settle anywhere the jockey wants. Here's the Chosen Vron, just a popular horse. He's won 18 of 23, 5 in a row, 13 of his last 14. He won this race last year, and he won the Thor's Echo in his final start before the Bing Crosby. This is May the 25th. He really couldn't lose this race on paper. He was 1-20. He sat right off of the pace, takes over at will, and just cruises on home. Now, he only earned a 90 Beyer speed figure. He was not asked for his best. He has earned 5 triple-digit Beyers in his career. This is a nice outside post for the Chosen Vron, who has the versatility to lead or rate. Expect him to break running, and he could be sitting second or third just off of Straight No Chaser when the real racing begins. Jackstown completes the field for trainer Bob Baffert. He's done nothing wrong. 2 starts, 2 wins, including this race off of a lengthy layoff. This is almost a 2-year break. He's 2-5 in a first-level allowance. Baffert had him ready to go. He dueled for the early lead and just was too much for that group. Confident placing here, throwing him up into this grade 1. But this horse appears to have some speed, and he appears to have some quality. This will be the acid test in only his 3rd lifetime start, but it looks like Jackstown does have some ability. Let's take a look at my top pick for the grade 1 Bing Crosby. A lot of respect for many of these horses in here. Curious to see if the old Straight No Chaser, the one that won the Maryland Sprint, shows up now that he's had 1 race under his girth in 2024. I'm expecting him to show big early speed, and we'll see if he can last in a quality edition of the grade 1 Bing Crosby at Del Mar on Saturday. Best of luck.